They told her the glow made her beautiful, that it was harmless, that death couldn't come from something so elegant. But when her jawbone cracked in half and her eyes bled green in the mirror, she realized what they really meant was, "You're disposable. This is the true cost of corporate lies." And the girl who came back glowing with vengeance. They smiled through pearly teeth and reassured her, with calm voices and polished brochures. Completely harmless, they said. Totally non-toxic, a miracle of modern science. They told her she was pretty too, that the shimmer made her look radiant, that the glow on her cheeks and lips made her look like starlight incarnate, a muse of the atomic age. They said it was safe to paint with, safe to handle, safe to dab on the tip of her tongue to make her brush finer, just like the others do. They encouraged. It makes the detail work so much easier. And she believed them. Of course she did. Everyone did. Now she lay in a thin, scratchy bed in a crumbling hospital that smelled like mold and bleach, alone and unrecognizable, limbs barely functioning, jaw half destroyed. Her body was a mess of weeping lesions, twisted bones, and rotting teeth. Her reflection was no longer something she could bear. Even the dim, cracked mirror above the sink had been turned away, tilted to face the peeling wall instead. She was 17. 2 years past the day they first told her she had 12 months to live. No one ever prepares you for slow death. No one ever explains how time stretches. When your body begins to rot, while your mind remains clear enough to watch. You don't think you'll cry when your hair comes out in clumps, or when the blood from your gums won't stop. But you do. You cry harder than you thought possible. And then you stop crying because eventually, there's just nothing left to squeeze out of yourself. They were just so excited, weren't they? These men in coats and ties who had no idea what a factory floor felt like. They stumbled across this glittering substance and immediately thought, how do we sell it? Not what could it do? Not here, could this harm someone? Just how do we profit? She hated them. She hated them more than she hated her own decaying face. More than she hated the pain. More than she hated how scared she'd become of sleep. Because every time she woke up, something else had fallen apart. God damn you, she whispered aloud to the flickering light on the ceiling. Curie brothers, look what you've done to me. She had been just 15. Bright-eyed, quick to smile. Working in the clock factory seemed like a blessing at the time. Better than the textile mills anyway. And besides, the other girls said the radium was magical. It made them glow like fairies. They'd paint it on their nails, their lips, even streak it through their hair before dances. They shimmered in the dark like stars brought to life. Ruth did it too. She laughed with them, smeared it across her cheeks, kissed boys in alleyways with lips laced in death. She thought the factory had given her a future. In truth, it had taken everything. By the time the symptoms appeared, it was already too late. First came the fatigue, then the aching joints. Her teeth loosened one by one, until brushing her mouth in the morning left a trail of ivory in the sink. Her gums blackened. Her jawbone cracked in half like a twig in winter. Doctors didn't know what to say. Some said syphilis, others claimed it was hysteria. One even accused her of faking it for attention. They didn't understand. Or worse, they didn't want to. Then the lumps came, horrid, pulsing masses beneath her skin. Her body began to twist slowly, agonizingly, into something unrecognizable. Her co-workers avoided her. Children pointed in the street. And eventually, even her family stopped visiting. And here I am, she rasped. One cold autumn morning, as dead leaves skittered across the cracked window pane. No friends, no family. Just me in this damn bed on a day colder than I deserve. The ceiling light buzzed. Her fingers trembled against the thin sheets. Her bones felt heavy and hollow like brittle branches ready to snap. She could feel the edge coming. The world around her pulsed and dulled, and her senses began to unravel. The sharpness of pain softened into numb, then nothing. Her vision blurred, smeared into a smudged gray, and then silence. Her heart let out its last desperate thud, then stillness. And then, she rose, not as Ruth the girl, not as the rotting, forgotten patient in the hospital bed, but as something other. Her soul peeled itself free from the mess of decaying flesh and broken bone, and drifted into something haunting. Her form was ghastly and beautiful. Her hair flowed like dark water, swirling and flickering in an invisible current. Her feet dissolved into nothing below her calves. Her arms held the shadows of her deformities, scars, lesions, broken bone, but somehow, they had transformed into terrible elegance. Her eyes glowed a soft, sickly green. Her dress shimmered like a specter from a dream. The radium had not left her. It had soaked into her soul. Even here in this in-between, purgatory, that's where she must be. She had been raised Christian. She remembered the hymns, the Sunday dresses, the smell of incense and old wooden pews. But this wasn't what they promised. This was not heaven. This was not peace. Why? What had she done wrong? The answer came slowly, not as words, but as a knowing. Vengeance. That's why she remained. That's why her soul hadn't passed on. She hadn't come here for justice. She came here to make them pay. It was late evening at the factory. Rain tapped at the windows. The girls were packing up, chatting quietly under dim bulbs, unaware of the storm building outside. Then darkness. Every single light shattered. Pop, pop, pop. The girls screamed. Glass rained down. Some dropped to the floor. Others stumbled into each other, clutching hands, eyes wide. The doors burst open, but no one was there, not at first. Then the clock started spinning. The hands whipped in circles, faster and faster. Buckets of raw radium tipped themselves, spilling glowing green across the floor like liquid fire. The concrete floor trembled. Tables skidded. Shelves cracked and buckled. And then the laughter. High-pitched, childish, giddy. Ruth. She was there somewhere, not in body, but in presence. They felt her like static crawling across their skin. They smelled her, sulfur and iron and something chemical. And they heard her giggling in the dark. Then the windows shattered, one by one. The girls screamed louder. A man appeared in the doorway, soaked from the storm, suit disheveled. "Christ Almighty," he barked. "What the hell's going on in here?" He stared at the destruction. His voice cracked with disbelief. "What did you do? Have you all lost your minds?" None of the girls could speak. "You ungrateful brats. You get paid to play with God's gift, and this is how you thank us? Sparkling like little angels while the rest of the country suffers. Look at this place." He raised his voice further. "I should fire you all." Right this? He never finished. A violent force slammed into him from behind, knocking him forward. His face plunged into the radium slick on the floor. He sputtered, screamed. It filled his mouth, his eyes, his lungs. He thrashed wildly, but the invisible weight pressed harder. And then Ruth appeared. Only he could see her. Her hollow green eyes inches from his. Her grin, shattered and ghastly, splitting wide across her ruined face. She stamped him once, twice. He gurgled. The radium had begun its work. "You'll rot too," she whispered. Slowly, alone, just like me. The girls ran, scattered in terror. Ruth rose, drifting high above the factory floor. The air turned frigid. The clock stopped spinning. Silence returned. But she stayed. She always stayed. Now she haunts the places that twisted her. Factories where the air tastes, like metal and greed. Hospitals where the forgotten waste away. Dance halls where she once sparkled like magic. She lingers. A glowing green ghost of wrath, beauty, and broken trust. Her smile is jagged. Her rage never rests. She is no longer a girl. She is a curse. And when the air turns cold and the walls hum with static, know this. She might be near, and she still glows. She still walks among us through flickering factory lights, abandoned wards and dance halls no one remembers. If you see a shimmer in the dark, don't stare too long. Don't speak her name. Just run. Because Ruth isn't resting. She's remembering. And she's waiting for the next lie.